For more than 3,000 years, the ancient Egyptians wrote a mysterious group of spells, prayers, warnings, and instructions on long rolls of papyrus that were placed inside tombs. Today, we call these writings the Egyptian Book of the Dead. Even though the name sounds like a single book, it is actually a huge collection of texts taken from many different times, temples, and local traditions across Egypt. For centuries, these writings confused explorers, historians, and researchers because the meaning behind many symbols and lines was unclear. Many papyrus scrolls were damaged, broken, burnt, stolen, or cut into pieces by early collectors. As a result, no one had ever seen the complete version of the Book of the Dead. But now, advanced AI systems have started to piece together thousands of fragments from museums and private collections around the world. With powerful scanning tools and deep learning language models, AI can compare torn edges, faded ink patterns, and lost vocabulary faster than any human. The results shocked experts. When AI reconstructed lines missing for over 1,000 years, the picture of the ancient Egyptian afterlife became far darker than researchers expected. Some spells seemed kinder and more hopeful, but many newly decoded passages warn about painful trials, terrifying gods, and dangerous traps that a soul had to pass through. Scientists were surprised to learn how detailed the Egyptians' vision of the afterlife actually was, and how similar was the descriptions found in ancient myths from other cultures. The new AI decoded text does not simply speak about death, but about something that seems like a long, frightening journey where the soul is tested again and again. This unexpected level of complexity has now forced researchers to rethink what Egyptians truly believed about life after death. The biggest shock for scientists came when AI connected fragments from scrolls that were never believed to belong together. Many papyrus sheets in museums were labeled incorrectly because early collectors often bought them from tomb raiders who tore them apart and sold them in pieces. Some fragments were thought to be fake, while others were so faded that human experts could not read them. But AI tools trained on digital scans were able to detect microscopic ink traces invisible to the human eye. When these fragments were matched, researchers discovered entirely new spells that described a dangerous path the soul had to cross, known as the Corridor of Knives. This path was mentioned only once before in history, but now AI confirmed it was a central part of many Egyptian funerary texts. The newly decoded lines describe spinning blades, shifting walls, and shadow beings that attack the soul as it tries to move forward. If the soul fails, it is destroyed forever. These descriptions were far more violent than anything previously known. Even more unsettling were lines describing a watcher at the end of time, a being that judges each soul not only for actions in life, but for the thoughts they carried into the grave. Scientists were shocked because such ideas seemed closer to later religious beliefs, even though the Egyptian scrolls are much older. The idea of a supernatural judge who sees all thoughts was not known to be part of early Egyptian religion, yet the AI reconstructed text shows it clearly. This discovery has now opened a debate among historians. Were the ancient Egyptians influenced by older, lost cultures, or did they develop complex spiritual ideas long before anyone realized? Either way, these decoded passages show a view of the afterlife far more intense than the peaceful images shown in museums. Another surprising discovery came when AI stitched together damaged pages from different museums to form a longer sequence of spells. These new translations suggest the Egyptians did not see death as the end of life, but as the beginning of a long and dangerous test. Earlier translations made the afterlife seem simple. The soul leaves the body, faces judgment, and enters paradise if it is pure. But the new AI decoding shows that Egyptians believed the soul had to pass through many levels, each filled with gods, demons, puzzles, and traps. Some levels appear to be tests of courage, while others test honesty, memory, or emotional strength. The soul must speak secret names of gods, answer cosmic questions, and resist illusions created by spirits. One newly uncovered line warns that even a single moment of fear can cause the soul to vanish into darkness. This is very different from the calm, ceremonial version of Egyptian beliefs shown in school textbooks. AI revealed that the Book of the Dead was not just a religious text. It was a survival guide. It was meant to train the soul for a dangerous journey after death. Some scientists were uncomfortable with these findings because they challenged long-held ideas about Egyptian religion. Previously, scholars believed Egyptians were more focused on maintaining cosmic order and less concerned about real dangers in the afterlife. But the AI decoded text painted a different picture, a world full of supernatural threats that the soul must navigate carefully. Many of the newly translated passages also contain warnings for the living, telling them to speak truthfully, avoid envy, and keep their hearts light. These warnings show that Egyptians believe a person's behavior in life directly shaped their survival after death. This deeper understanding makes the Book of the Dead far more complex and meaningful than earlier translations suggested. One of the most unsettling discoveries came when AI detected repeated patterns hidden beneath layers of damage on different scrolls. These patterns revealed that several important spells have been copied from an even older, unknown text. This means the Book of the Dead itself may not be the earliest source of Egyptian beliefs about the afterlife. Instead, it may have been inspired by a lost master book that existed long before the classical dynasties. This shocked researchers because it suggests Egyptian spiritual ideas might have roots thousands of years deeper than we thought. The AI system also found consistent references to a mysterious place called the Field of Rust, a dark, barren region the soul enters if it fails one of the early trials. Human translators had thought this place was simply symbolic, but AI reading long missing lines revealed it was meant to be a real stage of the afterlife journey. In the Field of Rust, the soul faces a creature described as the one who eats shadows, a being that consumes the soul's memories until nothing remains. This part of the text had scholars deeply unsettled. What terrified them most was how similar these descriptions were to myths from distant cultures, even ones Egypt never contacted. For example, the idea of a memory-eating being appears in ancient Chinese, Persian, and even early South American stories. Scientists now wonder if all these ancient cultures inherited fragments of an even older, universal myth about death. If true, this would mean the AI decoded lines from the Book of the Dead offer clues not just about Egyptian beliefs, but about deep, ancient human fears that may have existed long before recorded history. These connections have opened a new field of research, but they have also raised difficult questions about what early humans actually believed about death and the soul. AI did not only reveal frightening descriptions of monsters and trials, it also uncovered emotional parts of the Book of the Dead that human translators had long overlooked. Many newly connected lines show the deep fear ancient Egyptians felt about losing their identity after death. Some passages describe the soul calling out to its own heart, asking it not to betray the person during judgment. Others show the soul pleading for strength or asking ancestors to watch over them during the dangerous journey. These emotional moments make the text far more human than earlier translations suggested. Researchers were also surprised to find lines that describe the afterlife as a kind of mirror of the human mind. Some spells warn the soul to avoid its own anger, doubt, or guilt because these emotions can appear as real creatures in the afterlife. This idea, that the soul's own feelings can take shape and attack it, was unexpected and has led scientists to wonder whether ancient Egyptians had an early understanding of human psychology. AI analysis also revealed that different scribes seemed to copy the spells differently depending on their personal fears. Some added extra protection spells, while others added lines about forgiveness or courage. This shows that the Book of the Dead was not a fixed text, but something living that changed with each generation. For scientists, this was both fascinating and unsettling. It means we may never know the full, original version of the Book of the Dead because it grew, changed, and evolved as human beliefs changed. But AI decoding brings us closer than ever to understanding the ancient mindset. These emotional discoveries have made researchers see the Egyptians not as distant figures in the past, but as people who struggle with the same questions we still ask today. What happens after death? Does the soul survive? Will we remember who we are? The most terrifying discovery, according to researchers, came from a group of fragments found in different countries but matched perfectly by AI. When combined, they form a long passage describing the second death, a fate far worse than physical death. In this mysterious section, the soul is warned that even after passing judgment, completing trials, and entering the afterlife, it must continue protecting itself from forces that still roam the spiritual world. If the soul becomes weak, forgets its prayers, or loses its purpose, it can experience a second death, which erases it from existence entirely. This idea deeply disturbed scientists because earlier translations said passing judgment meant eternal life. But the AI decoded version shows that even a blessed soul must stay alert. The afterlife was not a final destination. It was an ongoing struggle. Even more surprising were passages suggesting that powerful beings in the afterlife could grow stronger by feeding on forgotten souls. This idea was never seen before in Egyptian texts and shocked Egyptologists because it changes everything we thought we knew. Some researchers worry the AI may be revealing parts of the text Egyptians intentionally hid or only shared with priests. If true, these deeper secrets were never meant for ordinary people. Another chilling detail was a warning that confused many experts. He who forgets his name shall not rise again. Scientists do not yet fully understand what this means, but it suggests the Egyptians believed identity was the soul's most important protection. If a person lost their sense of self, they could vanish completely. This new understanding makes the Book of the Dead far more complex and far more frightening than the peaceful version seen in museums. AI has shown that the Egyptians saw the afterlife as dangerous, uncertain, and full of risks, even for the righteous. As AI continues to skim more fragments, museums, universities, and private collectors are sending thousands of photos and scans to global databases. This includes fragments that were too damaged for earlier study. Some pieces are so dark, burnt, or fragile that no human can touch them without destroying them. But AI can read patterns of ink that lie beneath layers of soot or mold. This means parts of the Book of the Dead thought lost forever may now be recovered. With each new discovery, scientists are learning more about the ancient Egyptian view of the universe. The newly decoded sections show that the Egyptians believed the universe was full of unseen forces that humans must respect. They believed that every action, even small ones, shaped the soul's journey after death. What worried scientists most was how often these new texts refer to cycles of destruction and rebirth, suggesting the Egyptians believed the world itself could die and be reborn many times. Some newly uncovered lines even describe a time when the gates of the afterlife would open, allowing beings from the spiritual world to enter the world of the living. These lines are short and damaged, so their exact meaning is unclear, but they have already caused debate among historians. Are these passages symbolic? Were they warnings for priests? Or did Egyptians believe certain rituals could open a door between worlds? AI cannot answer these questions, but it has revealed how much we still do not know. It has shown that the Book of the Dead is not only about death, but about the relationship between humans, gods, and the entire cosmos. Scientists now see the text not as a simple funerary guide, but as a deep map of the invisible world. The discoveries made by AI have opened a completely new chapter in the study of ancient Egypt. Scholars now believe the Book of the Dead may contain hidden messages about the fears, hopes, and beliefs of one of history's greatest civilizations. What makes these findings so surprising is not only the frightening details, the dangerous trials, the memory-eating creatures, the second death, but also the way they connect Egypt to other ancient cultures. These connections show that early humans all over the world may have shared similar fears about death and the unknown. AI revealed patterns that humans could never see on their own, proving that ancient texts still have many secrets waiting to be discovered. Some scientists feel uneasy because the new translations challenge long-trusted interpretations built over decades. Others are excited because this shows that technology can bring us closer to understanding the human past. No one yet knows what further AI decoding will reveal. There are still thousands of fragments waiting to be scanned, and some experts believe there may be entire sections of the Book of the Dead hidden in private collections or buried in desert sands. One thing is clear. The afterlife imagined by the ancient Egyptians was far more dangerous, complex, and mysterious than we ever understood. And with every new, as AI tools continue decoding the Book of the Dead, researchers are now realizing that ancient Egyptians may have used far more advanced symbolic systems than previously believed. Early scholars once assumed that many drawings in tombs were simply artistic decoration, but AI analysis has revealed hidden patterns in the placement of symbols, colors, and shapes that appear to follow mathematical sequences. These patterns repeat on different scrolls, even from different centuries, suggesting that scribes were following a strict, coded structure. Scientists now think the Egyptians used visual symbols almost like a second language, a language written not with words, but with pictures arranged in carefully designed patterns. This discovery has raised new questions. Were these patterns meant to guide the soul through the afterlife? Or were they instructions meant only for trained priests? Some researchers believe the Egyptians may have used these patterns to represent spiritual energy or to mark safe paths, through dangerous parts of the afterlife. AI revealed clusters of symbols that repeatedly appear near warnings or references to powerful gods. These clusters seem to highlight important moments in the soul's journey, almost like signs on a road. If this is true, then ancient Egyptians may have created one of the earliest known forms of visual coding. This idea shocked historians, because it means the Book of the Dead was not only a religious text, but possibly an early attempt at a structured, symbolic system that communicated information beyond normal writing. The more AI studies these patterns, the more it finds repeating structures that human eyes had overlooked for generations. These discoveries show us that the ancient Egyptians were far more deliberate and scientific in their spiritual writings than we ever understood. Their texts were not created randomly. They were crafted with deep intention, purpose, and hidden layers only now becoming visible through modern technology. Even more surprising is how AI has revealed connections between the Book of the Dead and completely different Egyptian texts that were never thought to be related. For decades, historians treated religious writings, medical texts, astronomical notes, and magical spells as separate categories with little connection. But AI comparison models showed that certain phrases, symbols, and spell structures appear across all these different types of writings. This suggests that Egyptians believed all parts of life, health, the stars, the human body, and the spirit, were deeply connected. For example, new AI cross-referencing discovered that several afterlife spells use the same wording found in ancient Egyptian healing texts. This implies that Egyptians saw the journey of the soul almost like a medical process, something that required strength, balance, and protection. AI also found that star charts and astronomical drawings share patterns with scenes showing the soul traveling through the night sky. This discovery raised the possibility that Egyptians believed the afterlife journey also involved navigating the stars. Some newly decoded fragments mention following the path of Orion or crossing the Sea of Night, suggesting a cosmic route rather than only an underworld journey. These connections were almost impossible for